Hello everyone, welcome to Texture Myth. In this session, we are going to talk about another very important use case of GitHub Copilot, where I'll show you how you can explain a particular piece of code where you have utilized the regular expression. I'm sure regex or regular expression is something that every developer use for some kind of validation purpose, right? Now, in that situation, if you want to prepare kind of analysis report or kind of understanding document for those regular expression, so in that case, how we can utilize GitHub Copilot, that I'll be showing you today. Okay, so we will proceed in the same way. Like firstly, I'll explain you the requirement of this task. I'll show you the demo program that we will be using for this demo. And also I'll explain you how to write a perfect prompt so that it will provide you the correct output. Okay. But before we proceed further with this thing, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released session first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow it sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic, because for time being, we are just mainly focusing on how to use GitHub Copilot for identifying the actual meaning of regular expressions. But prior to that, we have already discussed many other informational things regarding the GitHub Copilot, and for that you can also refer the Texture Myth digital course book, which is freely available in the description box. There you will find more than 3600 plus sessions available in both Hindi as well as English language. So without any language barrier, you can easily consume the content, and if you have any questions over there, you can simply reach out to me through comment section. Okay. Alright. So let's get started. Here currently I'm in program formvalidator.py, which is a program of hospital registration. So it's a hospital registration form validator that checks the patient details before saving it to the system using regular expressions. Okay. So for these regular expressions, we will write the prompt and we'll try to understand like what kind of validation it required. Okay. And in a very simple and plain English, because sometimes it might be difficult for other developer who are not aware of regular expression. So for them, how we can use GitHub Copilot, that I'll be showing. Okay. Alright. So this is the demo program, and if I show you the output, so it prepares something like this. So you can see here we have hospital patient form validator where we have name, email, phone number, DOB, pin code. Okay, so these informations are there. Now what I'll do, I'll simply show you the prompt that we will use here. So I'll just quickly paste my prompt here in the chat. Okay. So this is the prompt. Now as per the requirement, we will just select this source, because we want that it should take the reference from this source only. So context it will take from here, and then we will write the prompt. So in prompt, first of all, you need to assign the role. So here I'm assigning the role that you are a senior Python developer and a technical educator with 20 plus years of experience in explaining regular expression to beginners, junior developers and non-technical audiences. Okay. Now after assigning the role, we will assign the task. So I have a Python program named formvalidator.py. In this program, there is a function called validate users form. This function uses multiple regular expression, that is regular regex patterns, to validate user input field. Your task is to read each regular expression regex pattern carefully and explain what each pattern matches in a simple plain English, so that even a beginner can understand it completely. Okay, so this is the main agenda of our today's task. Do not explain the full code, focus only on the regex part inside a validate user.form. Now task is clear, but for this task we will also assign some rules. So you can see here there are some rules to follow. First rule is use plain English only, avoid heavy technical jargon. Do not skip any regex pattern, cover every single pattern in the function. Third, explain each regex pattern in the same order as it appears in the code, top to bottom. For each pattern, explain character by character what it means. Give one matching example and one non-matching example of every pattern. Okay. Do not modify or rewrite the function, only explain the pattern as they are. And then rule number 7 says, keep your language simple enough for the first year programming student. Do not assume anything that is not written in the function. So these are the some rules that we want GitHub Copilot follow for doing the task. Then there are some output requirement. Purpose of this program: write 2-3 lines explaining what this function is validating overall. Second, regular expression pattern. So here what we can do, we can simply write pattern name, which field it is validating, actual pattern as written in the code, plain English meaning character by character. Okay, one example that matches this pattern and one example that does not matches the pattern. So I also need these information. Okay, one example for positive scenario and one for the negative scenario. Then we have some overall validation logic. Explain how all patterns work together to validate the full form. Mention what happens when all validation pass. Mention what happens when all validation fail. And then for fourth one, we have one real world analogy. Give one real world analogy for how regex validation works. The analogy should be relatable to everyday life. And then we have fifth point, important logic and special handling. Mention any special decision made in the regex pattern and example why this, and these are symbols, right? So we just clearly mention cap symbol, dollar symbol, why it is used. Okay, and then we are specifying some output format, like use clear section handling for each of the 5 points, use bullet point inside each section, keep the total explanation under 400 words, do not write any code in the output, only the plain English explanation. Okay, now I'll just simply press enter here, and what it will do, it will process my source code, and as per the requirement because writing the prompt is a main skill, right? So we have specified the pattern, so it will look for it, and then you can see now it is explaining everything as per our requirement. So I'll just walk you through a couple of lines because it's a bit information, but always make sure whatever output you are receiving should be validated. Okay, so purpose of this function is, this function checks whether 5 form fields are in the correct format or not, which includes name, email, phone, date of birth and pin code. It uses one regex rule per field and returns valid or invalid with a message. It helps stop wrongly formatted data before saving it. Then we have some regular expression pattern breakdown. So pattern is name. This is the actual pattern. This cap symbol start of the text, then one or more letters, then 0 or more group of 1 space, then 1 or more letters, end of text. Matched example is Ramesh Kumar and not matched example is Ramesh 123 because it contains numbers, right? Likewise, it explains the pattern for email, for phone number, for date of birth and for pin code. Then we have overall validation logic. Each field is checked against its own pattern in order. If a field match, it gets valid status message. If any field fails, that gets invalid while other are still checked. Real world analogies: think of an airport security check. Ticket, ID, baggage and passport each have separate rules. Passing one of the checked does not skip the others, so all must be correct. Okay, so this is just a relatable example that you can relate so that you can easily understand the things. Clear? And then we have some important logic of special handling. So likewise, like you can utilize the GitHub Copilot to explain your entire source code that contains the regular expression, and you can see by looking at the source code it looks very difficult, right? But actually when we are seeing it through the output generated by the GitHub Copilot, it looks very simple and professional in a very simple terminology, in a very layman terminology, right? So that is the advantage of using the GitHub Copilot. So yeah, I think this pattern is clear. In the next session we'll discuss few more things. So thank you for watching Tech Share With.